awesome scenery. Again, you get to see the forestry of Kentucky, but then you also get to see where Abraham Lincoln like actually was born and grew up in the one room cabin that you always hear about like in the history books.
Like Jesus.
That was a manger.
They're both made out of wood.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
Interest of the greater good for me to smoke a joint and calm down.
I am the greatest. He'll fall an eight to prove that I'm great. And if he keeps talking jive, I'm going to cut it to 5.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Ville Chillin podcast. Last time we got together, we was talking about tourism in Louisville, and with the summer coming to the end or whatever before it gets too close to it, we want to kind of dig a little bit further into the surrounding part, like the Kentucky
state
in general, right?
Yeah.
So Bluegrass.
Yeah, so last time we discovered Derby City, at least just kind of places we wanted to point out. And this time, as you just said, we're discovering the whole Bluegrass state.
It's like Narnia, man.
And it really is. You've pointed that out before. A lot of states, I don't know, driving through them isn't always the most impressive or
What
this
you
or
mean?
that. But when you drive through Kentucky, man, all you have to do is leave Louisville and you're in a forest. Like,
every time, dude. Just
in
throw a
any
rock.
direction, whether you go like east, west, south. If you go north, you're just in Indiana. But
don't go there.
you go any other direction and you're in a forest, man, and it's really wild. And it's a perfect time to kind of really transition to what we're talking about today, which is like the Bernheim forest, right?
With the giants.
16,000 acres and a million things to do. It's a lot of acres. And this is exactly what we mean when we're saying you can go east, west, south, and this is what you end up in. Kentucky's a cool place.
Well, and it hits like 4 different cities, kind of. I think it's kind of in between like Louisville, E-Town,
Bardstown.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you kind of get right off the highway at Bardstown to really get to Bernheim. The part of Bernheim we know, but it stretches. And it looks like they have something really cool coming up in August. Connect at Bernheim. I'm not sure what Connect is.
It looks really trippy. Oh, is that like one of those nature art things that we were talking about? We talked about that last year, I think.
That was called Land or something. So this is something a little different. This involves music, light sculptures, spontaneous art.
And that's on August 17th.
And interactive art and science activities, whatever that is. Yeah. But it seems really cool. August 17th, 5:33 to 11:33. Some very specific timing there. That's kind of interesting.
Dude, those lanterns look like flying jellyfish.
I wonder if that has to do with like the start of dusk for that day or something. You know what I mean? The
Specific time right there at
5:33.
5:33. Yeah.
Or if that has some other relevance. Either way, it sounds really cool. There's even a silent disco. But beyond that, Bernheim has plenty of other things too. We've been there for the Giants. We've done an episode specifically on the Giants before. And not only that, they have the Acre, which is a colorful living installation addressing the organization's history through planting of redbud trees that mark an acre boundary. So there's a gradient you can kind of see right there. And then the canopy tree walk. That sounds really interesting. I didn't even know they had that. But 75 feet above the forest floor, offering views of everything. So that's pretty cool. The Giants, of course, the Placo system. I think that sounds really cool. They just take
just like
things,
reusing old trees to make like jungle gyms and stuff.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
really cool. It's not the typical playground you see. They have a sensory garden, and then the land. That's what we were talking about. I forget exactly what that stands for. Landscape, art, nature, and design. And so they're still expanding that. The Giants were actually kind of the first installation of that whole project, and then they just kind of expanded on that. Expressive art, an edible garden, plant collections, and a meditation trail. A lot of cool stuff at Bernheim. So definitely worth a visit if you're in Kentucky. The next one we have is Red River Gorge, which that's a beautiful place. As you can kind of see, it's,
you know they call it like the Grand Canyon of the Midwest.
I did not. Do they call it that, or do you call it that? It's still a really cool place. There's a lot. From hiking trails to camping to just free exploration. Like one of the times I actually got nervous being in a forest, even though we had a guide, was on like a youth group trip into Red River Gorge. It was kind of freaky, dude. We weren't leaving out of the gorge until like 9 o'clock at night. It was dark. It was scary.
Was you up there on the cliffs during nighttime?
We weren't like on the gorge area, but we were walking like very narrow trails. Like anybody could have slipped at any time, and it would have been very, very scary.
Yeah, but those steps too, they're very narrow. Like they're I guess they're naturally made steps or whatever they are. I don't know if they're carved out, but like walking them up, like not the safest.
And like I said, it wasn't on like an actual trail. We were kind of down in the gorge and kind of making our own trail. It wasn't on like an actual trail. So, but beyond that, they have cabins to rent. They have an underground area apparently. I assume it's part of the Mammoth Cave. And they have zip lining too, which is pretty cool. Hi, Lily.
Yeah, you just gotta be careful up there, dude. People fall like every summer.
Yeah, don't fall.
Yeah, just
don't let go. The next one we have is one that we both went to as a kid, right? Fort Boonesborough.
Dude, yeah, I went a field trip there, dude. My dumbass, I thought it was the fort from the war. I didn't know it was a replica.
Yeah, it's kind of a replica or a like rebuilding, a remodel of everything, but it is modeled after the original development. So reconstructed as a working fort, complete with cabins, blockhouses, and furnishings.
They were like, this door was at the war. Like that's all it was. Like
it might have been. It might have been. But it's really cool. It's an awesome spot, especially for kids. They have tons of handmade items. You kind of see how they like churn butter or make horse leads or make candles. A lot of really cool stuff. And it's not pricey at all. $8 for adults, $5 for children 6 to 12. Under 6, free. I mean, you really can't beat it. And they have like camping nearby. There's a boat launch nearby. It's a really cool place.
And they have like actors too, right? That like pretend that they are,
Yeah, they tell the whole story of like the day and age of Fort Boonesborough.
I want to say that
they even got mini golf.
Did they have like a replica, like one of the the rifles? Do you remember?
I guarantee it, like the muskets or something.
Like you're pretending
it's probably like in that building there. I mean, they have some really cool stuff. It might be inside that building. There's the campground. You can see there's just tons of. Every building was like a different activity.
Is that an axe midair, bro? She
threw an axe. That's what it looks like. It's
rotating.
Yeah, and it's about to hit.
Yeah. They
just closed down the axe place here in Louisville. Did you see that?
Yeah, they weren't getting the business.
I can't imagine why. You can see people are there just teaching about various different things. And like a dining hall.
It kind of reminds me of almost like the Quakers.
Yeah.
Because you were talking about like how they make their own butter and very like self-sufficient kind of things. There they are. Like
they're like spinning yarn or something. Yeah. Yeah, same kind of thing. Like
growing their own vegetables and stuff.
It's really cool. Blacksmithing. Just a really cool place, especially for kids if they've never experienced something like that. Like I only ever went there as a kid. I mean, I was probably like 10 to 12, you know what I mean? And it was enough to where I remember it. Like it sticks out in my mind to where I wanted to talk about it today. So, pretty cool place. There's the candle making.
Oh, I remember the candles.
Yeah. I think they even had like a fudge thing, like a little fudge store or something. They sold like fudge. But cool place, Fort Boonesborough. Definitely worth the stop if you are in Kentucky, period. Mammoth Cave. I think Mammoth Cave is probably one of the more known places here in Kentucky because it's one of the few huge cavern systems that you can even see in the country, right? Like you can just take tours of inside the cave.
Yeah, it's definitely the largest, I guess,
large cave system. Yeah.
Like by a lot too. It's not even like kind of. I think it's like almost double the second.
It's the largest explored cave system. Yeah.
And it's still being expanded too. That's the crazy thing. Like,
well, I mean, it's a cave. It's not like a mine, which are man-made. It's a cave, which is kind of nature-made. It's a water eroded a lot of it, and various things happen over time. And they have a ton of stuff at Mammoth Cave. You know, obviously camping, cabin rentals, different exploration activities into the caves, hiking, canoeing, fishing, stargazing, all kinds of stuff. And it's a cool place. They're actually part of doesn't Mammoth Cave technically stretch all the way here to Louisville, where isn't the underground caverns like under the zoo or like wherever that Christmas show takes place? I think it's part of the Mammoth Cave system.
Like, is it like one of the more expanded parts of it? Probably.
Yeah.
It one thing about it like was really interesting to me too is like on one of the tours, like once you get about maybe 10, 15 minutes into the cave for the entrance, at Cave City, they turn out all the lights just to kind of give you an idea of what it would be like.
How dark it is.
Yes, yeah. Because there's happened that a lot of times when I think, what is it, splunkers, I guess is what it's called, like people that explore caves.
Yeah.
When you're in the middle of it and you're expanding, like, and nobody's been there before, think about like if your lantern just goes out.
It's dark.
You're fucked. Like, what do you do?
You really like, don't know pitch black until you understand that pitch black. Like the pitch black that you can set in your home is still different than like being in a cave where you know nothing.
And knowing that you can't get out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're really in that darkness, there's no getting out of that. Like you're going possibly the opposite of the actual opening where you need to be, or you're going, you're just...
Yeah, you have no idea. It's not like you can look at a compass. It's pitch black.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. Terrifying, but...
and they talked about that, too, I think, during the tour, too, is a lot of the people that passed away during the exploration.
I believe it, and it like, I understand it. It really is terrifying, and, like, when you're in the forest or something... You at least have like the stars and the sun and the moon to tell you roughly where you're at, right? When you're in a cave and it's pitch black, it doesn't matter if you recognize the arch you saw. You still don't know which way you're going
at all.
And it could just be one that looks like another one. Just like you see a tree and it's like, oh, it looks like that tree.
And the sound,
and they're miles apart.
Right. You're going by sound too. The sound's just echoing off of other walls and things like that.
Yeah.
So you're just like turning in circles.
It's crazy.
So very thankful that they kind of got that figured out for us to just kind of visit. And
which
it's lit the whole way there until they just kind of make that one point.
Exactly, yeah, and then you kind of turn around. It's an awesome place, and it just speaks to the nature of the experience, like the understanding you can gain just from doing something like that. Walking into a cave. It's an awesome experience. Moving on to the next one, though, Otter Creek, which I don't know I can't remember exactly where Otter Creek is.
It's kind of close to
Meade County.
Yeah.
So yeah,
very close to the Fort Knox, kind of really.
The falls. What are the falls called?
What, the Falls of Ohio?
No,
Tioga Falls. Yes.
Tioga, yeah. It's close to there, and like you said, close to Fort Knox.
Dude, yeah. The first time I went there, like we went the wrong way, and we almost was like at the Fort Knox military stuff. Like we thought we were going, we was following Google Maps, and there was a fence. I guess it was supposed to be telling us to turn around. We didn't see it, and then military's like got their guns out, and we
That's
turned
terrifying.
around.
Yeah, you turn around real quick.
Yep. This is not where we parked our car.
Yeah. Otter Creek's cool though, man. It's like the only actual cabin I ever stayed in. And it was a really cool experience when I was younger. We had, of course, me and my family with my sisters, like 6 of us with mom and dad. And then a friend's family who was also like 6 people total. And it was an awesome experience. Like we were able to rent the cabins. I don't know if they still do that.
They do.
They do rent cabins still. Yeah, I know they have the camping and stuff. But it's a really cool spot. It was really fun. It's a good place to get away, experience nature, feel like you're really in it. And it's a really awesome national park, really, to state park to just experience. One of my favorites.
Yeah, definitely one of those ones where you could go, several times and still not get.
Yeah.
Still a lot more to explore.
Yeah, for sure. What's up, everybody? We just wanted to take a quick pause and say, if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. Drop us a couple comments. Let us know what you like, what you don't, and let us know what you think about the video. And make sure to share out with your friends and family. It really helps us a lot.
Yeah, we're on every social media platform. We're on every podcast provider out there. So whenever you get a chance, just give us a like, give us a follow. We definitely appreciate it. It really help us out.
And with that, we'll get right back to it.
Yo.
So next up, we have Big Bone Lick State Park. It's a really cool place.
It's like Jurassic Park, right?
Pretty close. It's mostly for mammoths though, because that's what walked the plains here in prehistoric times, I guess. But they've actually found like mammoth bones and stuff there, so I think that's why it's called Big Bone Lick, and that's why they kind of like focus on mammoth stuff. And like it's kind of part of why like you have Mammoth Cave and stuff here in Kentucky is same thing. But it's a really cool place. Another place that I went to as a kid that just you don't forget. You have the Mammoth like plains fields. You have different exhibits. Different dinosaurs, different like exhibits. They have actual like bison there, different trails. You kind of walk around this whole thing around the park, and it's really fun. It's really informative, and it's just a new experience that you don't usually get, in Kentucky. You don't think, like actual mammoth bones and recreations when you're in Kentucky.
Not so much. I think 'cause I don't know if it has anything to do with like the being right by the water, the Mississippi or whatever. If it's more just like bones from like what is it, like crustaceans or some shit.
Yeah. So
like
there's
fish.
a difference between like sea life, fossils, and like actual mammoth bones. They also have like mini golf, picnicking, hiking, camping, like most of the other places we've talked about. But Big Bone Lick is a really cool place. You can definitely learn a lot, and definitely a cool place to take the kids. The Parklands is the next one that we wanted to talk about, mostly because it's really just an awesome set of parks that's popped up in the last few years in Kentucky. They have a ton of stuff to see. Scenery, including so many different like flower fields, trails, creeks, rivers, just so many different things. And
I can't count how many times I've been there, and there's still so much more for me to kind of explore.
Well, and it's like 8 parks in one, technically, with the Parklands, because you have like Turkey Run, Floyd Fort, like Broad Run. There's so many different ones. Yeah, so it's 5 different like technical parks, but they have so many different activities, and it's just really cool. They got a lot of stuff going on, and they're still trying to raise money. But I think it's a privately owned park too, right? I don't think it's not a government association.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was a philanthropist, I guess, like in a lot of like donations and things like that. It was, and they maintain it amazingly.
It's a really, really cool spot. And again, no matter kind of like where you're at in Louisville, if you're on like at least the southern, whether it's like south, southeast, southwest side, you're probably in range of one of these Parklands parks. And then as you kind of move south outside of the city, there's even more.
Which, growing up in, more like by Iroquois Park and, that part of the South or whatever, I never knew about this place. I just now recently found out about it last few years ago. I think it was like after COVID. That's when I was like, where's this been this whole time? Like,
I knew about like Broad Run and stuff in like 2018, I think, but that's still,
that's just
pretty
part
late.
of it, right?
Yeah. And they're still doing more to expand it and try to add to the trails and different attractions for things for people to do. But there's so much to do. Paddling, fishing, biking, trail walking, picnicking, gardening. There's playgrounds for kids. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So
they have this really cool tower at the top. You can see the whole park. It's badass.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's a lot there. So definitely worth a visit. Abraham Lincoln's birthplace is another one that's kind of really cool here.
Another one of those Kentucky field trips everybody's went to.
Exactly. But like, everybody grows up knowing that like Abraham Lincoln most of his childhood was in Illinois, right? But his actual boyhood home, like where he was born, is here in Kentucky, in central Kentucky. And there's his actual birthplace is, you're able to visit it. You're able to go inside, see where he was born, and it's a whole really cool campground type thing. I don't know if it's a campground.
Dude, is that the one? Is it right by like one of the oldest trees?
I think so, yeah. In Kentucky, yeah.
Like one of the oldest trees that's still alive or something.
And it's a whole national historic park, so.
And they just put his cabin, they just like surrounded it with like some kind of like.
They just put it inside, they raised it and put it in a building, yeah. But it's still really cool. Awesome scenery. Again, you get to see the forestry of Kentucky, but then you also get to see where Abraham Lincoln like actually was born and grew up in the one room cabin that you always hear about like in the history books.
Like Jesus.
That was a manger.
They're both made out of wood.
Next we wanted to bring up Kentucky Down Under, the Adventure Zoo. So it's at Mammoth Cave or Mammoth Cave area. I've never been, man. You said you've been?
Yeah, dude, they got the kangaroos, and dude, kangaroos can get aggressive.
Oh, I emus. They got emus too, right?
Yeah,
those things are crazy. But it seems really cool. They got the little thing from Zaboomafoo.
Oh,
yeah. At least it looks like it.
It's a zoo. It reminds you of any, kind of any other zoo, but then it's more hands-on. You can like get up there and like pet the kangaroos and stuff, and they're just chilling. Like,
that's pretty cool. Yeah. And those are things that you obviously don't see. And that's obviously why it's called Kentucky Down Under. But you can't see those things at just any zoo. At least not yet. I know the Louisville Zoo is working on some of those types of animals, but I don't know that they're exactly at that. But
they got kangaroos, you just can't be petting them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a petting zoo. But just another cool place, especially if you're in the Mammoth Cave area or going to Mammoth Cave. Really cool for kids and just a good time for anyone. The Newport Aquarium is an awesome one right there at the border of Ohio, like Cincinnati and Newport. And that's a cool place. We took Annabelle when she was like 2, and I'm ready to go back. I mean, it's one of the few places around here where you can actually see sharks and dolphins and jellyfish and all kinds of different fish. And they have some like actual hands-on activities to do with kids and stuff too.
Yeah, it's real trippy, like when you're in the tunnels and
yeah, you just look up and there's a jellyfish
swimming over your head. Yeah,
wild. Yeah, octopus, like everything. They got different stuff going on, and that that's one of my favorite places to visit. Like I could, if I was closer, I would get like a season pass here if you even can, just like I do the zoo. You know what I mean? Like it'd be cool. I would go there a lot. Kind of moving more into that entertainment realm, the Corvette Museum. Pretty cool place, at least if you're into cars or even the history of automobile manufacturing here in Kentucky. The Corvette Museum is cool.
And hey, they made a full recovery after that earthquake of
The sinkhole
a few years back.
Yeah, they still advertise like that as an article on the front page as it scrolls through. Like the sinkhole is still a big deal in the history of the Corvette Museum. And apparently they have a Stingray grill, which you might not know. There was a certain set of years of the Corvette that were called Stingrays.
I know that, dude. Gran Turismo, dude.
Okay.
Right, was that one? Yeah.
I don't know if the Stingray was. Either way, that's a C8, dude. Looks like a Lamborghini. Badass. Either way, Corvette Museum, really cool place. You obviously can't see it anywhere else. There it is, ground to sky, the sinkhole reimagined. They have some of the Corvettes that were actually crushed in the sinkhole as it fell in on exhibit. Pretty crazy, pretty awesome place.
One way to like spin a negative for real.
I mean, yeah, it's part of the history though, right?
Like, we're not going to fix it. We're just going to put a sign and call it art. Speaking of art,
last but not least, the next one we wanted to talk about is the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum. It's however you feel about bluegrass music, or its classification, because looking it up, it is even controversial on the internet. However, it exists, and its namesake comes from our great state. The Hall of Fame and the museum is in Kentucky, and I think it's a cool place, and they celebrate some cool people.
Yeah, definitely.
Such as Jerry Garcia.
Hey, I would kind of say bluegrass is to like folk and country what like punk rock is to rock music, kind of. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of.
It's a subgenre,
right.
And it's a very specific subgenre. Yes, it has its specific designations, but I think what's important for us, and at least for the story here, is that it's called bluegrass because its origins are from the bluegrass state. So it's something cool. It's something interesting to at least see if you come to Kentucky anyways, right? Like if you're going to stop at the Corvette Museum because you like cars, you might not be a Corvette fan, but it don't matter. You might not be a bluegrass fan, but if you're a music fan in general, probably worth checking out.
It was definitely a sound that was like popularized by one guy, specifically gets a lot of the credit for it. Mm-hmm. What was his name?
I can't remember his name, to be honest with you.
Bluegrass, bruh.
Okay, Joe. So
Bill Monroe. Yeah, Bill Monroe is the one that came up with
and
it.
the Bluegrass Boys.
Yeah.
So it's from around here, circa 1940s, Kentucky and Tennessee, Appalachia, southern United States. So, but yeah, the namesake mostly comes from Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys. But it's still cool. I think it's a pretty cool thing, pretty cool place, and I guarantee that, Bill Monroe, 1991 inductee, but there's plenty of others here. Stanley Brothers, quite a few people here, honestly. Quite a list, and I guarantee you learn a little bit about all of them by visiting the museum. So if you're into it, it's pretty cool.
Definitely could probably do a whole show just on bluegrass in the state. Definitely,
exactly. You can even rent the venue apparently, which is kind of cool.
One day,
weddings and get married at the Bluegrass Hall of Fame, brother. They got different events going on, different things. So pretty cool place. Again, kind of along that more indoor tourist tourist location, kind of like the Corvette Museum. It's not outdoorsy, but just another option if you're looking for things to do in Kentucky.
I mean, Kentucky, let's be honest, Kentucky's just a giant park.
It is, and that's what's in. Like, we didn't even touch on all of the outdoor parks. Like, there's no way we could, right? There's so many of them, from Bernheim to everything else. I mean, but the same could be said about our Louisville episode. You know, there's plenty of other places that deserve talking about.
Right.
This is just a small list. So, I think we covered a pretty expansive list here, and most of these places are ones that at least one of us have been to. So I think that's different too. Is we have firsthand experience saying these places are awesome. So
yeah. So whether you're from Kentucky and just trying to figure out something else to do, or you're from out of state and want to do something, find something to do on your way to somewhere else or on your way to here to see the Derby, this is what you do.
Exactly. And some of the best places I saw was like traveling out west with my mom to take my sister to college or something.
Right.
Right. Like, we just stopped on the way, or we stopped on the way back. So you might think of Kentucky as a pass-through state, which is fine. Just stop at one of these places while you pass through. Right.
So, you ain't gotta stay.
So I guess with that, I think that about covers it. You got anything else to add? Any other places?
Nah. Go Kentucky.
It's a cool place, y'all. So with that, we will catch you on the next one.
Yeah.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
Interest of the greater good for me to smoke a joint and calm down.
I am the greatest. He'll fall an ace to prove that I'm great. And if he keeps talking jive, I'm gonna cut it to 5.